Hi, I'm Michelle Begue with a look at what's happening in Latin America now. But first, our news trivia. What country of Central America just had a volcano erupt, creating a huge smoke column? We'll have the answer later. South America's fight against COVID seems to have no end. When comparing cases per 1 million inhabitants, South America is worse off than any other region in the world. North America has an average of 40 cases per 1 million inhabitants, Asia only 29. But South America has maintained a steady 300 new cases per 1 million inhabitants in the last month. What seems to be the biggest challenge is that new variants arise faster than the vaccination campaigns in each country. Brazil's southern and central region is facing the worst drought in almost a century. Officials are concerned that the drought will cause crop losses and increase fire activity in the Amazon rainforest and the Pantanal wetlands. The low water levels are especially noticeable in images released by NASA satellites. Low water levels in rivers like the Paraná could disrupt cargo ship traffic and make transportation of goods more expensive. There are still more than 100 people missing after the collapse of a building in Surfside, Florida, just minutes away from Miami. At least 36 people from Latin American nations, including Colombia, Venezuela, Uruguay, Cuba, Chile, Paraguay, Puerto Rico, and Argentina, are among those reported missing by friends and loved ones. Diplomatic staff from different countries helped dozens of relatives and friends look for their loved ones. Among them is the First Lady of Paraguay, whose sister is declared missing. No official explanation for the collapse has been provided. In Colombia, a collective of activist artists are trying to honor the victims of the false positive scandal. Bystanders and volunteers are taking on the task of painting 6,402 silhouettes on the streets of Bogotá to show citizens just how many people were killed by the Colombian military. Colombia's Transitional Justice Court said between 2002 and 2008, at least 6,402 citizens were murdered and then falsely declared rebels, committing fraud to inflate the number of combat kills. Now let's go to Mexico City, where Alasdair Baverstock has a report on how the country is one step closer to marijuana legalization.
Mexico's Supreme Court has decriminalized the recreational use of marijuana. In a ruling Monday, the country's top judges ruled prohibition unconstitutional. Adults will now be able to hold permits to grow their own plants, as well as possess up to 5 grams. However, possessing anything more or selling marijuana remain criminal offences. Those who pushed for legalization in the first place argue that if criminal law still applies, then the narco-trafficking cartels are still in business. And that defeats the point, activists argue, because a primary goal of legalization has been tackling this country's worsening problem with organised crime.
Okay, now let's look at what stories we're following for next week. First, next week will be a month since Peruvians took to the polls to elect their president, and one of the magistrates on the jury reviewing contested ballots just quit. That could delay the process even further. Right-winged presidential candidate Keiko Fujimori urged the country to seek an election audit from international organizations. In the unconfirmed results of the June 6th election, Fujimori lost to left-leaning rival Pedro Castillo by less than 50,000 votes. Second, Cuba says they hope to become the first in the world to inoculate its entire population with its own vaccine. The country has been developing 5 different vaccines, and 2 of them are in their most advanced stages. Since the 1980s, because of the United States sanctions, Cuba has a long history of making its own vaccines. So far, scientists say at least 1 of every 5 Cubans has received a first dose of their COVID vaccine. And third, interrogations of football legend Diego Maradona's physicians came to a close this week. One by one, Maradona's medical personnel were questioned by prosecutors. All 7 are accused of having neglected the icon in his final days and therefore precipitating his death. Next, a judge will decide whether to order a trial in a process that would take years. We will know more about this in a few days. And now the answer to the news trivia. It was A. The volcano Rincón de la Vieja in Costa Rica erupted this Monday, creating a 2-kilometer high smoke column. Authorities say the eruption that lasted 3 minutes did not cause any damages. The amazing image was captured by the Costa Rica's observatory that monitors volcanic action. And that's it for this week. We'll see you again soon on Latin America Now.